What's happening? What's happening? I'm GB. That's Coop and Brian. This is the Sports Counterpoints podcast. How y'all doing?
Doing all right.
Good. Watch the Lakers.
Just got to watch the Lakers win a basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Brian was there, and I was watching him. So yeah.
Yeah, I was in the car driving up to SAC. Got the holiday. Happy holidays to those who celebrate. The reason for the season, being thankful I'm with. A lot of the atrocities that go with it, not so much. But yeah, y'all know what it is. It's November 21st, 2023. We're talking NBA. Quick check-in. In-season tournament's almost over. Brian, was this one of the tournament games?
It was. It was the last game for the Lakers, who now finished the in-season tournament 4-0 and advanced with at least the best record for right now into the quarterfinals.
What'd that court look like in person?
Well, the Lakers is one of the less atrocious ones because their primary color is yellow, which is a little bit closer to hardwood floor than crimson red or any of that stuff. So it wasn't as bad, but those courts are still pretty obnoxious. But the team sure looked good playing on it. I'll tell you that. They played outstanding today.
Nice. I was in the car. I didn't see none of it. What was the final?
What was that?
131 to 99.
Oh, damn.
There you go.
They play Utah.
And,
your boy Jordan Clark.
Anthony Davis, who was one rebound from a triple-double, and LeBron James, who I think was 2 assists from a triple-double, didn't play a minute in the fourth quarter.
Oh, I love it. They
7 players in double figures.
I need him to do that against good teams, but
yeah.
Good win for the Lakers. I think the Lakers are like 9-6 or something like that overall.
Yeah, that moves them up to 9-6 and keeps them in the 6th place kind of spot. They played a little bit better lately. They've won 3 in a row. They've looked like they have life. I was actually hoping to see more of Cam Reddish, who played a little bit in the first quarter, and I'm gonna guess he got hurt because he's been a staple, and he didn't get off the bench even in garbage time in the fourth. So we'll hear about that in a minute. But Austin Reeves, Rui, even Jackson Hayes, when he got in, played pretty well.
Yeah, too bad you're not going tomorrow to watch your favorite player, Kyrie Irving, and the Dallas Mavericks will be in town. So.
Yep, no, I'm good.
Let me see. What else is the in-season tournament looking like then? Who's the top teams?
Well, you got there's 6 different groups, and you got the Pacers leading 1. They're also 3-0. Milwaukee Bucks leading 1, 2-0. Boston Celtics 2-0. Los Angeles Lakers 4-0. Pelicans 2-1. And the Sacramento Kings 2-0.
Oh, nice.
And the Timberwolves too, 2-0.
And the Timberwolves are also 2-0 tied with the Kings. And each team plays. It's a round robin, so each one plays 4, and then they move on to the quarters, which are played as home games for the teams. So there'll be like an extra game ticket for the Laker fans.
Okay.
And then after that, they go to Vegas to finish off the tournament.
And Glenn, there are 5 or 6 teams that haven't won a game in the NCAA tournament, and these are all the usual suspects in the lottery. The Detroit Pistons, the Wizards, the Bulls, the Raptors, and the San Antonio Spurs. I'm giving the Memphis Grizzlies a pass because Shoot 'em Up Bang Bang is not in the lineup, but they haven't won a game either. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was saying I was excited about the season, but I've been moving and grooving, man. I ain't watched no basketball. I've been every day. I feel like I've been doing something. So we'll see what happens this week.
You know what? I actually got the season pass because it's on Amazon Prime, and it was just easy to do it. So I did it. So I've watched a lot of games, not as many Laker games, because in LA they're always on Sportsnet, and there's only you can only get that if you have Spectrum or DirecTV.
Yep.
Yeah. And Glenn, one last note on the NBA, like this is the time of year nobody's really playing any defense. So you're getting all these high score games. Lakers scored 131 today. Indiana and Atlanta played. That was 157 to 152.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So Cleveland and Philadelphia played. That was 122, 119. So these scores are, routinely, and somebody scoring 120 every night in this.
That's like the All-Star
Well,
games.
in fairness, the Hawks and the Pacers are the 2 highest scoring teams, and they don't play an iota.
Oh,
of
yeah, they're not trying to play
ever.
defense.
This
Yeah.
is
That's
not.
crazy.
This will be the same in the playoffs. It'll be Trey chucking it, hoping to catch up, basically.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Jeez. All right. Any other takes from the NBA season so far?
The Wizards.
No, you know what? What's that? What did you say?
I said the Wizards suck. I've seen them play.
So do the Clippers. If we're talking about teams that suck. No, but I do like the way the Lakers are coming together. The team is deep. There's some good depth. I mean, when you have a guy like Jackson Hayes and Christian Wood coming off your bench, that's a lot of height. There's a couple different times. The main play actually was AD in the high post and Jackson Hayes cutting baseline for or Christian Wood or one other person I'm forgetting, but one of those guys cutting baseline and getting a ton of dunks. I mean, it was definitely a lot tonight.
Yeah. A couple of things I noticed, Glenn. I've watched the Kings play a couple of times. They share the ball pretty well on that team.
Yeah,
they usually they pass the ball around and make sure the person gets the best shot. And I did say the Wizards they suck, but also the Wizards. I mean, they're just bad. I mean, the Wizards look like a rec league team. I'm not even lying to you. They play exactly like a rec league team. And then the Phoenix Suns offense. I watched them play about 3 times this year. Their offense is all ISO. I don't know how they expect to win a championship like that. They play all ISO. I mean, from the first quarter through the fourth, it's ISO. So don't know how long that'll last, but that's just a few things I've noticed.
They got some scores, so I guess what you just give to one guy and see what he do.
And see what he does. Yeah, but that's about it.
It's way easy. This was wild to me because it's way easy. I mean, these are some great scores, no doubt, but it's way easier to score with some movement and some plays going on.
Ball movement and stuff.
You get some shots, but hey, whatever. Don't matter to me. Let's see the Lakers win, so that's cool. Word. All right. Well, I ain't really, like I said, I haven't watched much NBA as I said I would. I've just kind of been gone. I'm fresh off the plane down there from Miami. The day in. So let's get to the league, man. I might as well start because I'm already segueing into it. Shout out to Miami, first of all. What a city, what a place. Man, it was a perfect trip. There was absolutely nothing. I mean, everything went right. Only thing that went wrong was the Raiders barely lost. And even then, I was very, we were not upset leaving the stadium about the way they played. It was that we lost, right? Offense had some struggles for sure. You're going against some of the top corners. Jalen Ramsey is phenomenal. It's great to like watching him live. Dude's instincts, his awareness, just how he played the game. Like the picks he had were, baiting O'Connell or just literally a great diving catch to jump in front of it. It's not like the passes were way, way behind and they were just terrible. It's just Jalen is phenomenal, bro. So that was great. Stadium was cool. People were nice. Weather was beautiful. It was great. Defense was balling. Raiders defense held them boys to 6 in the second half. It just wasn't, I didn't see the super high powered offense. I will say watching Tua, I'm not saying he's weak. I'm just saying I wasn't overly impressed by.
Does he look small to you? Does he look small to you when you saw him in person? That's
what Max Crosby and the guys were saying. I mean, I was up in the club section, not like I ain't trying to play like that, but it's like an outdoor bar area. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was we were on the 3rd level, so I'm not trying to play like, oh, I'm big ball and Barry. But from there, you can't really tell who's the smallest. I just know the passes I saw, what he was doing, he was not accurate deep. And they completely went away from it. And their offensive makeup is that they're so fast, just get it to the guy within a couple yards and he's fine. But what I was watching was not something that was making me say, oh my gosh, this team is a lock for the Super Bowl. I'm not trying to hate, I know it's going to sound because I was just there like, oh, the Dolphins ain't ish. It ain't like that. But this was not me watching a team and I'm just saying, oh yeah, they're unstoppable. I don't know how anyone's going to beat them. I think they're tough, but they are not by any means like my Super Bowl favorite or anything. But
well, I have a question for you. So I read that the players have more say now on the Raiders on how they want to operate as an organization. For example, the team wanted to fly to Florida on Friday, practice on Saturday, then play on Sunday. But the team leaders of the Raiders spoke up and said, no, we want to practice on Friday in Vegas, leave on Saturday, and then play on Sunday. So my question to you is, and this could be Brian as well, do you think this whole new player empowerment movement with the Raiders is a good thing, or is it just a change for the short term because of what they went through with Josh McDaniels, where the players really couldn't say anything? It was, his way or that's it. You think that's sustainable for the
I
rest of
think
the
it's a
season?
good. I think it's a good thing.
Why?
Yeah, I mean, they're playing well, right?
There it
They
is.
didn't
Yep.
look out of a game against a team that has a much better record, has played much better football. You never, at no point in that game did you think
No.
there was no chance they could win it.
Right.
And they, I'm not going to say that the Raiders have become a really good team. They have not, but they're playing inspired football.
Yeah.
And whatever they're doing to do that, they should continue doing it for the season. I do, and as long as they believe in it, it's sustainable.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's sustainable for the short term. I don't think you should go into every season like that, but definitely for the rest of this season, I would definitely do that.
We would dang near have the same record as the Dolphins if we'd won the game. But like Brian said, never were they out of it. I think it was obvious. Coop, I thought about stuff you say all the time and how you could tell like when they don't trust the quarterback yet. He's a rookie, so they weren't having to make. The offense was very conservative. You could tell we were very much playing not to lose.
Right.
Versus like trying to win the game, settling for field goals, like the way stuff they were calling it, they just couldn't get it going. But in no way was I embarrassed. I wasn't. If I was a Bronco fan at that game, you'd be like, "This is insane! Like, how do you score 70 at this game?" I was not embarrassed. I was not. Yeah. I felt like we came to play. Defense was balling. There was a great performance, honestly, by the defense. Kept them in the game. Offense just got to figure it out and get some scores. Did get a long touchdown from Devontae, which was awesome. But it was great, man. It was a great game to be at.
Here's one thing I can say. Go ahead. Go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say, the one thing I will say is they do seem to trust him a little bit. I mean, they threw the ball 41 times.
Couldn't get it running. Yeah, you had to at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they had to at the end, but they were throwing it throughout. I thought they did a good job of trying to do that. I also think that since the coaching change, Josh Jacobs has looked like a part of the team. He didn't get a lot of yards. He only had 40 yards rushing this game. But he at least looks like he's part of the offense.
They were stuff in the box. Yeah.
As opposed to, exactly. They were playing a good defense who played well. But I do think that, that this works for the rest of the season. Nothing coalesces people in general, unlike hating someone else. Like everyone, you know what I mean? You can get a whole bunch of people who have nothing else in common other than their disdain for something else, an idea, an ideology, a person, whatever, in this case, a coach. And everyone can be like, we're going to show that SOB that this is who we are and what we can do. That can last for a season. Then some players leave because of free agency and it might be a little bit harder. But you can get a season out of it.
Yeah, and one thing I can say, though, these guys are playing hard for Antonio Pierce and for themselves as well. So, I mean, that can't be denied right there.
Bro, that defense was different, man. Like, when I was watching it, like, all the way to the fourth quarter, it was multiple guys come swarming to the football. They were getting tip passes. Like, it wasn't like they were inspired. Like, they were literally out there to play. So it was a fun game to be at. I was not at all upset at how they performed, wanted to win, but it was cool. Like, we left their heads held high, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just you shake the other team's hand. Yeah, y'all played great. Y'all deserve to win. But by no means was I like, walking out there like, here they go. They embarrassed us. They showed up. So yeah, I loved it, man. It was a great experience.
Speaking of team's performance, I want to talk about that game between Minnesota and Denver because I was in the bar watching that one. And, I want to hear B's thoughts on that because I thought Minnesota had that one locked up.
Man, I was hurt when I saw the final, man.
Oh, man. So, B, what you
think about that? I never thought that they would, there's no point in that surprised me. I was disappointed that obviously they lost, but it was, you cannot turn the ball like that and win football games. I said it at the beginning of the season when they lost a bunch, all for that same reason. I said, I'm going to say it again this time when they lost. The minute they started turning over the game, I had a couple of friends over, Al and Mark over, and I turned to both and I said, it may not look like it, but we're going to lose this game somehow because you cannot turn the ball over that many times and expect that you can win a football game. It's just not possible. And in order to be able to do something like that, you have to be a really good team. The Vikings are maybe on the plus side of average kind of football team.
Sure.
And if you look at their numbers, they would be almost undefeated if not for all the turnovers, except for they keep turning the damn ball over. So, the fact that they ended up losing this game was not surprising. I braced myself early because the turnover started early and kind of came to that conclusion. I just decided to be happy about picking the Vikings on the spread because they only lost by 1 point and the spread was 2.5.
Yeah.
I'm weak.
Yeah,
I didn't see the
great.
game, so I don't know what you think. I didn't get to watch it.
Look, to me the game started out boring and then it got a little bit I guess more exciting as the not exciting but more, I would say, actually more interesting and a little more exciting as the game went on. Yeah, we was definitely into it, me and other people who were, at the bar watching it. But I thought Minnesota had this locked up. But one thing I'm never going to forget, because it's imprinted in my mind, they showed a picture of Josh Dobbs' dad. And both of them look like a younger version and older version of Miami Heat Ray Allen. Both of them, they look exactly alike. I couldn't get that image out of my mind when they showed them. Of course, in the bar, there's no sound, but you kind of know who he was. But like Brian said, they were turnovers, yes, but I think Dobbs did a good job, bouncing back and trying to get a victory. And then, like I said, Denver came back and won the game. I didn't expect it. But you never know what happened. But still, I don't think Minnesota's season is done or anything like that. But that's a disappointing loss. I get how you feel.
To me, it is wild that the Vikings have an 85% chance of making the playoffs right now, down from like 92 if they had won this game.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're still very square. That just tells you that the NFC is either has a lot of parity or generally sucks, whichever way you want to look at it. But Dobbs also is the first quarterback ever to have a rushing and passing touchdown in all 3 of his first games. There's always a way to turn the stat around. Dobbs has played well. I do not think that he is an outstanding passer.
No.
But he is a solid playmaker. Because even his passing touchdown he should have gotten killed on that sideline. And instead, found a way to throw it in the end zone. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. It's interesting if you look at the win probability on like ESPN. The Vikings kind of just goes up and it stays real high, and then it literally just goes from like 90 to 0 because of the way that game went. But you just kind of you can't lose the turnover battle 3-0. And that's not on the defense. So, like, the defense played well. They didn't force turnovers, but they played well. The offense just gave up the ball too damn much.
Yeah,
that was us too. Yeah,
it's crazy to think that we got sliced and diced by Kirk Cousins and Joe Burrow, and both those guys are hurt. That's the first thing I actually thought about, because I thought Kirk Cousins was the quarterback, and I was like, oh yeah, he's hurt.
I mean, you guys keep on injury players. I saw something about that curse. You guys 3 players out for the season because you also played Cleveland.
And then that's right.
He was out.
Right.
So all three of those quarterbacks played the 49ers next week.
Yeah, and we took L's, but yeah.
I'm gonna say, and the Niners
took them L's.
They'll injure their own players too, so they're at least fair about it. What about these Niners, man?
Well, so I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was reffing as the game was going on. I didn't watch the game till after I was done later that day, after the same night game, actually. So seeing that I didn't get any text messages, I'm not talking about from you guys, but I didn't hear anything from anybody. So I assume Brock Purdy didn't throw any interceptions, because that's when I usually hear from people when he throws picks. Well. So I watched the game, and what I could say about the game is, number one, Brock Purdy had an 84% completion percentage, but usually when people have a high, quarterbacks have a high completion percentage, they're just dinking and dunking, throwing short throws, screens, and check downs. But Purdy was, throwing it aggressively down the field, which is good. And, interceptions happen sometimes we do that, but I'll take those over conservative quarterbacks. So I wasn't really expecting much out of this game, to be perfectly honest with you, because the 49ers play Seattle on Thursday, and I just don't think, from history, the 49ers usually just try to play well in the first half, get a lead, and then sit on it. Just watching the second half of the game, Tampa Bay had plenty of opportunities to score touchdowns in the second half, because the 49ers really weren't doing anything, and they just couldn't score. So it's a good victory, but I don't really take much from it. I'm really worried about just playing Seattle on Thursday, then Philly after that. So
isn't Geno out?
I don't know. Is he?
Like
yeah,
he is.
Like
I didn't know that.
Elbow on Aaron Donald, yeah.
But go ahead, Brian.
And Ken Walker is also probably out.
I didn't know that. I know that. But thankfully, though, I will say there haven't been any coverage busts the last 2 weeks by the defense. Guys just being, totally wide open and things like that. So that's a good sign. But then again, we've only played Tampa Bay and the last team that we played. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens against better
Wilkes,
teams.
Man, he's on the field. It's good now.
We'll see what
everything's fixed.
Yeah, we'll see.
Chase Young.
Yeah,
everything's fixed.
It was a good game. Purdy played outstanding football. I'm still not I'm not a believer that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but as we said before, he's a good quarterback, and he played really well. But I think that the one of the takeaways for the 49ers needs to be that they play really well when they're healthy and they're playing bad teams. There's no one who's going to argue that Tampa Bay was a good team. It's the game that they played the week before against Jacksonville, not a good team. And it looks like they're about to hit Seattle at just the right time. If you're going to have to play at Seattle in a short week in a game where you kind of throw records out a little bit because it's divisional, it's probably pretty good to play without their quarterback and starting running back. But we still got that Philly game coming up, and they got hopefully Seattle will be healthy for the second game.
Seattle hasn't.
It should get interesting. I just go ahead.
Yeah. No. Seattle hasn't beaten us since Russell Wilson left. He was the kryptonite why we can never beat them. But to be honest with you, I'm just looking at how we match up against Philly. And even if that's really the game I want to see, how we match up against Philly, and always watching Lamar Jackson is a treat too. So playing against him because he's just so unique
Philly
as a quarterback.
Are going to be real football games.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
I think it says something though that the only games that you guys are playing against tough teams are in the AFC. Cleveland, Cincinnati.
Well, the AFC is a better conference though.
Absolutely.
The AFC got all the good teams.
But I'm just saying, but literally nobody that you guys including us, we beat you, but it wasn't like we were, world beaters. We just kind of struck lightning bottle. But Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Baltimore are your best games, excluding Philly, which obviously will be a very good game.
Well, I mean, an argument could be made that's the best division in football. An argument could be made. Not saying this is, but it could be made. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Would you guys any last takes? So let's go to a couple games last week, couple games this week, and rip out.
Oh man, I got like 4 quick hitters real quick. Washington lost to the Giants. They made their quarterback Nick Nevito look like a legitimate starting quarterback. Seriously, the Washington Lieutenants and the Chargers are by far the 2 most disappointing teams in the league to me. I watched Detroit Lions.
Can't be disappointed if you didn't have an expectation. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's true. Had an expectation on the Chargers. But Detroit Lions, I see that their defense, they score points, but their defense gives up a lot of points. They've given up 26, 38, 14, and 38 the last 4 weeks, so the Lions can be scored on. Carolina, I saw that the Frank Reich took over the play calling duties on offense, and they scored 10 points, which is less than what they scored the last 4 weeks. And then finally, Zach Wilson, he's thrown 931 NFL passes with 20 touchdowns. I didn't know that. I didn't think he threw 20. I thought he threw about 10, but that's actually horrible. 931 passes and 20 touchdowns. But anyway, and my last thing is actually a question to Brian, actually. I read that head coach Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills, he fired offense coordinator Ken Dorsey because he said he couldn't have the team go back into the locker room without some knowledge or knowing of something that changed. So basically, he's just saying that Dorsey is a scapegoat. So I want to ask you, after watching this last game, or not watching, but maybe knowing the score of the last game against the Jets, you think the Bills are back?
It's hard to say against the Jets. The Jets are a real defense, but they're a horrible team.
Yep.
And so I think there's something when you're playing a team, even when they have a good defense, and you just know that all you have to do is score 1 touchdown, and that's enough to win the game. There's just a certain calm that comes over you. Yeah. I would think. I never, I did it myself, but there's a certain calm that comes over you when you know you've got this, and all you have to do is this to be able to get a win. And they put 32 points up. I think it's probably a little too soon to, the Bills have not been horrible. They just were losing games that they shouldn't have lost, and there's reasons to like them. We'll find out, right? They get to play Philly before you do. And if I don't think they have to win that game in order to be considered real. I think they need to play great football, right? No one's saying KC's fake because of the way they lost.
Right.
I think if the Bills play strong and even lose that game, they can start to turn things around. Either way, they're not winning a championship this year.
Right.
They're just not complete enough.
Give me your NFL quick hitters, and then give me your thoughts on the Monday Night Football game, and I'll give you mine.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, that Cowboys game was interesting. I guess one question is, are the Cowboys back? Because, now they're 7-3. They're back in the NFC conversation. They're playing pretty well. They're not necessarily playing anybody, but they're playing pretty well and putting up a lot of points. I know some folks, there's a lot of people who want to be fans of that team for whatever reason. And they're going to be wondering whether or not this is like turning around, or they'll probably assume it. They play, a relatively easy schedule until they play Philly in a few weeks. But do you think that they've kind of turned a corner?
No. And the reason why, because it's the Cowboys. You can't trust them in big games because they just don't win them. If you look at who, like you said, who the Cowboys they played the Panthers. They played the Giants the week before. They lost to the Eagles and then played the Rams. And they played the Chargers, who don't have a coach. So the thing about the Cowboys is they're like I would say Alabama when they play against the Florida trucking school. They'll pound them when they play in a bad team, but when they're playing a good team, they never measure up. So I don't believe the Cowboys. Now, if they beat Philly, then I might have something about them. But until they beat a team like Philly, I'm not in. Yeah.
And then the only other thing that I was curious about was, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there was only one football game on Sunday, all of Sunday, that had 2 winning records. Steelers-Brown.
Oh, wow.
That was it.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And so I was watching that game, expecting that was the one that was kind of on the, I had folks over, we were watching the Raider game, but I had that one on one of the primary TVs to kind of pay attention to, and it was a dud of a game, right? It was.
You watched that game? You deserve something.
I watch every game, man. I literally watch every game. But I was actually paying closer attention to that because it was the only game with 2 teams with winning records on the entirety of Sunday, including my own game.
I didn't know that.
So, and I just think that was kind of interesting and sad. But at least they got good games on Thursday and Monday. My thoughts on Monday's game.
Yeah.
It's what I thought was going to happen. The Chiefs find a way to lose games that are tough. They play down to competition, even when that competition is really good, like Philadelphia is. They just don't know how to put teams away. They let them stick around. They let them get in the fight, and other teams find ways to beat them. It happened before. Raiders have taken advantage of that in the past, and other teams in the division have taken advantage of that in the past, and that's why when we were talking about this last week, I said that the Eagles were going to win, and I was pretty darn confident in that. And then the worry needs to be the Chiefs got blanked. They are not a world-class defense. They have a solid defense, but not a world-class defense. If they can get blanked for the second half like they did, we can blame MVS and that scheduling, and he should have caught that and all that other stuff. But there's a whole bunch of other people on that team that got blanked with him.
Yeah.
And Mahomes was at the helm of that. I do think that is a real worry to go a whole half without being able to put a single point on the board.
Yeah, my thoughts on the game. I'll start with Philly since they won. On the show, I picked Philly, but when it came down to it, my points barely got took Philly. But when it came down to it, I put a C note on KC on the money line and lost this game. But Philly, look, good teams win ugly games against other good teams, and that's what the Eagles did. Philly is a good team, and they won an ugly game. It looks like it was a little slippery out there because I saw some drop passes by Kelsey. Kelsey really doesn't drop anything. Jalen Hurts, he didn't play particularly well to me, but did what he had to do to win the game. But I like Jalen Hurts' demeanor. He's a serious, no-nonsense guy. He reminds me of me when I'm reffing. He has no emotion whatsoever. It could be a game-winning shot, and I'm just walking off the court like I never saw anything. I like his demeanor, and as a quarterback, he's never too high, never too low. And if you're a teammate of his, you actually have to love that. You know what I mean? Because nothing really ever rattles him. But they won the game, and good for Philly. Bad for me because I was hoping Philly would lose a game and catch up with them. But for the Kansas City Chiefs, the Chiefs have the worst second half offense in the NFL, and they played like it. And this is with Mahomes. The Chiefs lead the NFL in drop passes, and they played like it. I'm not sure. Now I understand from watching the Chiefs a few times this year why Andy Reid runs so much now, because Andy Reid wants to pass all the time, but he's been running a lot more recently, and now I see why. I don't know how they're going to depend on Marquez Valdez-Scantling, but I don't think they have a choice. I mean, they have to, but this
They
dude is
got
a
a bunch
drop
of
machine.
twos, man. All the receivers are twos.
Probably
elsewhere.
threes. I'm thinking maybe threes. So, I don't know.
True that, yeah.
I mean, Brian, you made some good points about their offense. I don't know how, you're supposed to, I don't know, win or compete for a Super Bowl with that kind of second half offense or being blank like that, especially against a good team. Maybe they'll figure it out later. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on the team. It was a good win by Philly, but to be honest with you, I don't think no worse or better about both of these teams. I still think they're both good teams. I don't think any worse of either one.
I agree.
But I think
just think
Casey had more issues.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're both still very good teams, respectively, in their conferences. But I do think KC needs to be able to figure out how to go a half without getting blanked. And it's not all on MVS, right? I mean, Mahomes only threw for 177 yards. They had 2 turnovers. And, the difference was a short field, allowing them to get the field goal, which later allowed them to get ahead.
And Brian, you mentioned this a little while ago too, which it's seemed to show true. Like, you can't win a Super Bowl with a $50 million quarterback, or that's what the salary cap is now. But basically the point being, when you're paying that much for one of these top guys, it affects the rest of the roster. There's no way around it.
And
you can build a team. You can definitely do some things, but it makes it more difficult. We may see it depending on what Lamar does, or, but right now it's kind of ringing
eventually
true.
You're going to have so many of them that you're going to have to happen, but it's not a real thing yet.
But the thing is also, this is why I kind of get on people about their quarterbacks, about their salary, because the thing is that when you're paying that kind of money to somebody, well, we'll just use Dak as an example. This guy has to be good enough to overcome deficiencies of your team. And if that guy's not good enough to overcome deficiencies of your team, like Daniel Jones, why are you paying him that money? So, you're kind of hamstrung, or you have
if Mahomes can't do it, who can?
Right.
I mean, I don't care. We joke about it and all this kind of stuff. Mahomes is a really, really, really good quarterback.
Yeah. He won last year.
He took. The other thing is we should call out the fact that he was a class act, because he's like, I should have thrown it a little shorter. That pass was perfect. It was perfect. It is exactly the kind of pass that Tyreek Hill would have caught and skated in the end zone.
Yeah.
That
Mike
was
Evans.
Perfect.
The number one on every team. Literally, the number one on every team.
Would have caught that pass. Yeah. So, yeah. But it was.
Well, you create the deficiencies when you play like that. So
exactly.
I didn't see any of the games, man. I was at the game, so I didn't get to watch many. I did watch Monday night. That was a good game. That was exciting. It was close, and that's kind of what you want in a football game.
Well, GB, real quick before we go, Cleveland's defense is really good. Well, what people don't understand is Deshaun Watson's salary cap number, Brian, you're like this, goes up to $64 million next year. That defense is gone. Defense is gone. 64, 65, and 64 the next 3 years.
But they're already paying Denzel and Miles, right? So their core is there. It's just you're going to lose some of the periphery guys.
You're going to lose that interior.
That's where you always lose them. Like Travis Kelce is still there. Yeah. But now you're going to have to depend on Sky Moore and Marcus Valdez-Scantling. And it's certain hurdles. Even really good quarterbacks can't come. Yeah. And you got everyone always, not always. A lot of people like to put Brady back out there. People need to consistently remember he always took pay cuts to make sure he had wide receivers.
Right. He never made $50 million, $40 million a year. Never. Yep.
Yeah. They also still scouted well, because he didn't have crazy receivers all them times. But nice. So
let's start talking about the next week.
Yeah, we all let's throw some games out here.
Can you guys do me a favor? Can you guys call the NFL and say will you politely and please stop scheduling the Minnesota Vikings for primetime games? We do not win them. Sunday night.
Oh, y'all play Monday night.
Oh, look, we do. If we play a game that
you got the Bears. You got the Bears.
Oh man, you got a bye week. You got a bye week. Yeah, you good.
Not a bye week. Not a bye week with us on prime time.
Hey,
what's the so you're taking the Bears?
I am not taking the Bears.
Okay, all right.
But put it this way: do you really honestly think that the Vikings should only be favored by 3.5 against the Bears while at home?
Yeah, because it's Dobbs. That's why. But check this out, though.
Cold.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
it's Justin Fields. Which you can't tell me.
Exactly. You got Justin Field. He only wins Thursday night games. So you're good. The last game he won was Thursday, and the one before that was last season on Thursday. You're good. It's a Monday night game.
I believe the Vikings will win this game, but I also think that everyone knows that they perform a little bit worse in primetime games.
Cousins
and
not
it's
playing.
going to be a hell of a lot closer than it should be.
Hey, Cousins not playing. Dobbs is going to be motivated. And you're playing against Justin Fields, and it's not Thursday. You're fine.
Yeah,
And
there's
it's
some
at
matchups.
home.
You're good.
There's some
And it's at home.
matchups. What about Bills Eagles in Philly?
I'm taking the Eagles. That's no question.
Eagles.
Yeah.
That's a fun one, though.
That's another one of those where the spread is lying to you.
Yeah.
It should be Philly Philly, if you Philly minus 3.5 against a team that's struggled over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I got that by at least 6. I have Philly minus 6 on my
And
thing.
y'all have told me also that those betting lines are based on where the money's going to, not necessarily just the teams.
No. The opening line is based off of public perception, and then it moves based on where the money's going. Yeah.
And so we're a little early in the week. But by the time when you see this, when this line will move to probably 4.5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
What about Chiefs Raiders in Vegas?
I can't. I can't.
I'm
I
sorry.
Take the Chiefs.
I'm going to take the Raiders because it's a KC minus 9, and I think that's too big a spread for a KC team that plays down to their competition.
I'm taking the Chiefs, and I'm taking the Chiefs to cover because they're usually good bouncing back off a loss.
Raiders win 21-17.
I'm taking the Raiders to beat the line.
I'm telling you, the way this defense is playing right now, and they're going to be super motivated. They're back home. Raiders are going to win. We're not going to score a lot, but Mahomes is going to be trying to do too much. He's going to have a chance to win it at the end. I'm telling you, it's going to come down to a last second pass, but Raiders win.
I agree with that assessment. I just don't know that they'll find a way to win. And the Chiefs are not a bad team.
I didn't say 40 points. I didn't say 24.
Yeah.
Hey, 21.
So what's your score? 21-17?
21-17.
Mine's 27-13 Chiefs.
I've seen that happen before. I think
mine is less than 9 Chiefs.
that defense.
He's staying consistent, right?
That Raiders defense is motivated right now. What about 49ers Seahawks on Thursday night?
I don't even know what that line is, but if I had to guess, was it 49ers minus 3.5?
49ers minus 7. And again, that's because of the injuries. And the 49ers are going to cover that.
I mean, I'll take the 49ers, but I'm not taking them to cover the 7. I'm just not. Divisional game, 7 points. I don't care who's quarterbacking. Quarterback's not really a big motivator for Seattle anyway. It's more of a ancillary part. So
they only got 2 things on that team, man. They got a passing game that's Gino throwing it to DK Metcalf and Lockett, and a running game with Ken Walker. Ken Walker's out. Going to enjoy watching Charbonnet get the starting nod, but he's a big guy and a power runner, not a big play runner. And Gino, if he does not play, they just don't have enough offense to keep up with the 49ers.
All right, well, I got here. Check this out. This is a bad game. I'm not going to watch it, but New England and the Giants. Who you got?
I don't know. I don't care at all.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not even speaking on it.
Okay.
New England minus 3. I will take the Giants because I would not give up any points for either of those teams. That's how bad both of them are.
I'm with you on that one. New England minus 3 on the road. I would take the Giants just because they're getting 3 at home.
I'm with you. I'm not giving up points. If that was a pick 'em, I might have to think about it.
Right.
For either of those damn teams.
And a game I'm looking forward to watching is Baltimore and the Chargers. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm taking the Chargers plus 3.5 at home.
I'm not talking about those teams I thought had a fork in them, so I don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
They do.
Baltimore.
Gotta pick it.
Baltimore will beat this. Will cover their 3.5. I'll tell you that.
Baltimore's gonna win.
We talk about an interesting game: Steelers Bengals.
I don't think that's interesting to me, but we can talk about it real quick.
You just put out Patriots Giants. You cannot tell me that the Steelers Bengals in what you were saying could possibly be the best division of football.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It can't be more interesting.
Well, Burrow's out. I don't know who's quarterback in Cincinnati, so I'm taking Pittsburgh on the road minus 1.
Okay, you're gonna take
Pittsburgh minus 1. Who's quarterback for Cincinnati? I don't know. Who is he?
It's what's
I'm out of this.
crazy is I literally put in a thing for
A
him
waiver
to pick him
claim
up
for
in
him?
fantasy, but it's Jake Browning. That's his name.
Oh, from Washington? Oh, hell no. Yeah, I'm taking Pittsburgh. Yeah. Jake Brown. I remember him. He's actually from Sacramento, I believe.
Oh, nice.
Or Fairfield,
really?
one of the
I'm rocking
places.
with
Yeah.
him.
Yep, Sacramento. My brother-in-law and sister married. He used to coach him back in the day in high school, like his 10th grade year or something like that. So
Anyways,
yeah.
I will also take the Steelers to cover the 1 point, but I do think that it will be a relatively close game.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So Brian, we doing a shot on the Baltimore Chargers game. You already owe me 1. It's gonna be 2. You gonna take Baltimore minus 3.5?
All right. So is this double or nothing, or no matter what I take mine, you take yours?
No. Double or nothing, or no matter what, somebody takes a shot.
Hey,
let's just bet another shot.
Bet another one.
Shot. Okay, that's good.
You will just have to take one with.
Yep. I'm taking my 3.5.
Glenn has already said that he will take one.
I'm a rock
because why not?
Why not?
I'm gonna take my 3.5 and I'm gonna pray. So I'm see what happens.
That's it.
All
why
good.
Not? Word, man. All right. If y'all are good, let's do our last couple segments and we out of here.
Hogwash.
Yeah.
I'll start with the hogwash, man. Look, there's a guy I hear every once in a while, listen to every once in a while. His name is Nick Wright. He's on Fox. And look, Nick Wright, he wasn't a big Jimmy G fan at all, which I get. Okay. But now he said something that I think is just blasphemous. He said if you swap out Brock Purdy and Baker Mayfield will be killing it with the 49ers and Brock Purdy will be losing with Tampa Bay, just like Baker Mayfield is doing right now. And I got to call BS on that because Tampa Bay has talent on that team that easily would start on the 49ers, like Mike Evans, Curtis Godwin, Tristan Wirfs, and linebacker Chris Godwin, and Tristan Wirfs and Devin White. They would all start on the 49ers. There's talent in Tampa Bay. Just because Baker cannot take advantage of it, that's his problem. But basically his take is that Brock Purdy is just a product of, I guess, the 49ers system or whatever, and that anybody can do what he's doing, which we know is BS. And just one stat that I'm gonna end it here, it just tells you that there's 2 different quarterbacks here. From 2017 to 2022, Jimmy G completed 6 out of 40 passes of passes that traveled 30 yards in the air.
Oh, yeah.
6 out of 40, but 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. In 10 games this season, Purdy has completed 5 out of 9 passes for 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. So there's a different dynamic when Purdy is on the field. Not saying he's going to complete every downfield throw, but at least he's trying it. Whereas Jimmy G, it was pretty much automatic incompletion. So that's hogwash his take on Brock Purdy. If he doesn't like him, he just doesn't like him. But just don't compare him to Baker Mayfield. I don't think that's a very good comparison.
You got me curious because we brought in Jimmy, but I'm wondering what Baker's completion is for those same passes. For deep passes look it like up. That. Yeah.
I didn't look it up, but I can. That's mine.
I just wonder whatever happened to all the hype that was around Zion Williamson. I think it's complete hogwash that all these people who for a long time were buying into the hype. And if anyone who's been rocking with us, when he was in college, I said, you need to look at the way the man runs up and down the court between his weight and the way he runs up and down the court. There's no way he can stay healthy. There's no way he can become a good, consistent basketball player in the league. Here we are. He's been out, dealing with weight issues, dealing with knee issues, dealing with back issues, dealing with all types of stuff. Basically, just dealing with being fat. And there are people now who are kind of like starting to tiptoe away from. Well, I didn't really jump on the Zion bandwagon. Yes, y'all did.
Yes, you did.
Yes, y'all did. Like, because a whole bunch of people called me all types of things. Like, you're crazy, you're stupid, all this stuff. Zion isn't that guy, and one of the reasons why I'm, of course, bringing this up is the way you know that Zion's not that guy is every stat that needs to have as a leader that's not a center stat is led by Brandon Ingram. He is the guy who is actually leading that team. And if you want to know who the best player out of Duke is, it is not Zion Williamson. It is Brandon Ingram right now in the league.
Okay, and I have to agree because, I said the same thing about Zion Wilson. And the best player in Duke history is Grant Hill.
Oh,
throw
yeah.
that in there.
certainly Green Hill. I said in
Yeah.
the lead.
I know.
Yeah.
But I gotta
Argue,
give a
yeah.
shout to Grant Hill. Yeah.
Can't argue that. I don't think I even got one, man. My weekend was great. I didn't have no hogwash involved, man. I got none. So I'm floating. Minute to win it. Just thank you guys for listening. Happy holidays to everybody who celebrates.
Mine be real quick. Same thing as Glenn said, but also I hear a lot of people talk about the quarterback rules and these hits on Mahomes or whatever stuff that's being flagged. And what people not understanding is these rules that the NFL has are dictated by lawsuits, which comes down to money. They don't want to lose any money. That's why they set these rules up. And there, yes, Mahomes is the golden boy. They protect him. But that's because 10 million people watch Mahomes play and 2 million people watch when your quarterback plays. The NFL gets more money when Mahomes plays rather than watching your quarterback. So it's about money. That's why they protect him. He gets the Tom Brady treatment. Just have to live with it. That's just the way today's NFL is. That's my B.
There's two big stories that kind of transpired over the week, and none bigger, of course, than the one that broke while we were on the show, which is that there is a 4-day peace deal between Hamas and Israel, and there's going to be a swap of hostages. Thank you for giving everybody a reason to be thankful that for at least a small window of time, there is a break in just such a horrific story that's going on. There was a false break of that news a few days ago. The Washington Post actually posted on their site that the deal had been struck and had been led by Biden. And then a bunch of IG pages and Twitter pages started retweeting the information. And what was weird is about 15 minutes into it, CNN, NBC, CBS, all these were not reporting on it. And so it was kind of weird that the Washington Post had jumped out and nobody was catching up. Slowly but surely, Washington Post changed the story saying negotiations are ongoing. All these Twitter pages started deleting all their reposts. The IG post kind of disappeared. So there was some worry that this wouldn't happen. I'm glad to see that it did. The other story was this back and forth again with Sam Altman, who is he was fired surreptitiously on Friday from running OpenAI, which is the creators of ChatGPT. Then over the weekend, there was talk that because his co-founder was also going to quit, that they were out, that they were both out. Then they were both back in. They showed pictures of them back in there. And then Microsoft, the next day, they couldn't figure out how to make it work. So Microsoft said, we're going to hire both of them. Well, again, while on this show, things happen while we're talking here. Sam Altman actually agrees to return to OpenAI, going back. So again, another flip-flop. He's going back to OpenAI. He's not going to Microsoft. That is a very interesting story for all of us normal folks to follow, because pretty much every application that we're touching touch right now is going to have some element of generative AI. No, I don't think it's going to say become sentient and take over the world and kill people. But it's going to have some elements. I mean, Microsoft released Copilot 20 days ago. It's going to be everywhere. And it's important who's going to lead that vision. Whether you agree with them or not, it's important because it's so impactful to all the different things that we're going to do. So Sam Altman is now back at OpenAI, the company he founded with his co-founder, as opposed to at Microsoft or on the open market. They've now, it's been crazy. And that broke, what is it? 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, hey, happy holidays. Thank you all for listening. We will catch y'all next time on Sports Counterpoints.
Peace out.